My name is Steve Moniaci, and I am the athletic director at Houston Now Christian University, formerly known as Houston Baptist University. We are a private Christian university in Houston, Texas, and we are a Division I athletic department in the Southland Conference.
Okay. So as athletic director, does video production and all that fall under your purview?
Yes, it does. Yeah, we have been for a number of years doing streaming of our athletic events. Initially, we did it through our website, and within the last year, we have begun to do it on ESPN+. And so we do all of our team sports on our campus through our ESPN+ productions.
Okay. Can you just tell us in general overview terms about your, setup, what you have for equipment and
I
so
can.
forth?
We initially, a little bit of background history here. Our league went through a bit of turmoil about a year and a half ago where we lost 5 teams out of our league. And when they left, one of the things they cited was that they wanted more visibility through such productions as the ESPN Plus productions. And so they wanted to go to a league where they got that visibility. Well, what we did as a league is we took all their buyouts and actually went out and got every remaining school in the league a full production trailer. And so that production trailer has the ability to shoot up to 5 camera feeds and produce everything we need to be able to send a production, send our game out, if you will, to ESPN Plus. And so it's at the standards that ESPN Plus requires us to have to be able to put them on the air. In fact, we can actually do a full ESPN production through that trailer if need be.
Okay. So are you using it strictly for the ESPN Plus, or do you still stream it to your own?
Well, our contract with ESPN, we basically can't stream anymore.
Okay.
So we're strictly limited to doing all of our broadcasts on ESPN Plus.
Okay.
So yeah, we're doing everything through ESPN Plus. We'll do somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 to 105 broadcasts this year, I believe.
And what different sports do you do?
Well, in the fall of the year, we will do volleyball and men's and women's soccer. And then through the winter months, we'll do the 2 basketball teams. And then in the spring, we will do baseball, softball, and we'll also do some beach volleyball.
Okay. Do you know what cameras you're using, or general terms?
I don't.
Okay,
I know there's Sony cameras, but I couldn't tell you for sure what model or what aperture they have or any of that. Unfortunately, I'm not technically savvy enough to know that. What I do know is that they are very expensive cameras. That much I know because I see the bills for them. So I know what they cost us, but I couldn't tell you what model they are.
Okay. Fair enough. Speaking now strictly from a video point of view, are there any challenges that you've faced through this process or currently facing?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We're a small private school. We have about 4,000 total students, and so while we do have an RTV department, we call it mass media, but it's an RTV department. It's a small department, and so where a lot of state schools would get all of their help, all their camera people, all their switching people, all of that, chironers, all of that would come through the school. We don't have that luxury. So we basically have to hire a crew for every game to come in and do these productions.
Okay.
And so I have a producer who, again, is not an employee of the school, and he puts together a crew for every broadcast we do. Many times it's the same folks, but many times it's also not the same folks. And so we began this process last winter, and I think it takes us anywhere from 10 to probably 13, 14 people to put on a broadcast. And we've probably now got trained up about 30, 35 people that we can switch in and out. But that's taken time. And, when we started, it was like, well, here's the 10 people. And if one of them's late in traffic, which happens often in Houston, we got a problem. So, right. We've had a number of, and mostly staffing. But we made a jump this year to doing football. Football is a lot bigger production than doing a volleyball game or a basketball game. Volleyball and basketball are contained in one small gym. No matter how big your gym is one small gym. And when you do a football game, you're talking about long cable runs, more cameras. We also use those as part of our instant replay for the referees. And so they've got to be positioned in the right places for the referees. And so, the expansion from doing a basketball or a volleyball game out to doing a football game is proven to be a rather tough transition. We're still trying to figure that out. We've done one football game, trying to figure the whole thing out. So we've got another one coming up in a couple of weeks, and hopefully it'll be a better production than we had the first one.
That's a pretty tall task. I can understand that.
Yeah, exactly. So,
okay.
and we've had, we're very fortunate that when we did our football stadium, we pre-wired it. So which most, a number of most football stadiums, quite frankly, are not pre-wired. So we do have the advantage of being able to plug and play, but it's still a much bigger production and much more technical, and you've got different lighting situations that you deal with in football that you don't deal with inside a building. And so all those come into play when you're trying to do a football game. And typically what happens in the South is you always, this time of the year, you play your football games in the evening. And so you're starting in daylight and you're going into darkness. And that's way different than being in a gym where you've got a set lighting level that never changes during the course of the whole match, the whole show. You're dealing with different lighting levels. You're dealing with what you've got to do to make the cameras work in different lighting levels and so on and so forth. So much different production outdoors than it is indoors.
And even bigger staff requirements.
And even bigger staff. That's exactly right. Where we might use 8 to 10 on a volleyball game, it's more like 13, 15 on a football game.
Just out of curiosity, do you have more volunteer student help on a football game?
We have not gone the volunteer student help route because unfortunately what I find is that when you go the volunteers, one of them doesn't show and what do you do?
Right.
And so everybody we have on our crew is paid labor. And, we do use a couple of students on cameras, but we'll pay them.
Right.
We try to incorporate the students as much as possible because we want them to get the experience of being able to do this. As part of their undergraduate degree situation, we want them to be able to get the experience. But we're paying, so we're not using volunteers.
Okay. But you're probably not paying them full union scale either.
Yeah, no, we're not paying union scale right now.
Understandable. Okay, well, I guess switching now, thinking strictly from an audio side, we're audio people primarily.
Right.
So are there any audio challenges that you've faced, building up your program and now moving into football?
I don't think so far we really haven't run into any real audio challenges. We do a broadcast. We will stream the audio so that if somebody just wants to pick up the audio, they can just pick up the audio. We'll do that in addition to doing the video. And that's technically proven to be a little difficult, but nothing that we haven't been able to overcome. In relationship to some of the other issues we face, those have been all minor issues. Now,
Okay.
if we haven't yet figured out how to incorporate a ref's mic into our productions. Obviously you can do it, but we just haven't got that done yet. that's going to probably our biggest audio challenge we're going to face going into this next football game, is trying to figure out how to get that refs mic into our productions.
Okay.
We're not using, and I know I talked to you about this, we're not using a parabolic sideline mic at this point. You know, I mean, that's something to look at for the future, and certainly something I'd like to be able to do to get some real game noise, if you will, into the broadcast, but haven't gotten to that point yet. We're not
Sure.
there yet.
You've got other things to deal with first, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay. When you look at the overall production, you mentioned the referee mics, but are there any major weaknesses that you've identified or want to concentrate on?
Well, it's interesting. Our truck, as I said, was only built to handle 5 cameras, and I'd like the football broadcasts. Oftentimes are done with more than 5 cameras.
Sure.
And so we've got a hurdle there that we've got to figure out, you know, what it's going to cost us if we want to go to more than 5 cameras. What's it going to cost us all the way down the line to incorporate more than 5 cameras?
Right.
And so that's something we're going to be taking. We won't be looking at that this year probably, but down the line going into the future, that's something we're going to be wanting to take a look at.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to talk to me. And I'll let you know when this video is available, and I'll end it at that. Thank you.
Well, all right. Well, we appreciate you doing it. So thank you very much.